So, guess what they're doing in Canada right now?
We're introducing legislation to implement a national freeze on handgun ownership. What this means is that it will no longer be possible to buy, sell, transfer, or import handguns anywhere in Canada. We need less gun violence. We cannot let the guns debate become so polarized that nothing gets done. We cannot let that happen.
I want you to keep in mind that in 2020, Canada did this.
Today, we are closing the market for military-grade assault weapons in Canada. We are banning 1,500 models and variants of these firearms by way of regulations. But you don't need an AR-15 to bring down a deer. So, effective immediately, it is no longer permitted to buy, sell, transport, import, or use military-grade assault weapons in this country.
For decades, people have been telling us, no one is trying to take your guns!
The notion that I, or Hillary, or Democrats, or whoever you want to choose, are hell-bent on taking away folks' guns is just not true.
But it's always tyranny, and they're always coming for your guns, even though they have been saying that every single year for literally decades. When is it gonna happen?
And in response, we point to places like Australia and the UK, where they started with one gun control law, then one tragedy would happen, and then they used that tragedy to pass another gun control law. Then another tragedy would happen, and then they'd use that tragedy to pass another gun control law. And over and over and over again, until finally they just say, ban all the guns.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
The problem was these examples happened so long ago, and people clearly don't learn anything from history. They would just dismiss our examples and say we were being ridiculous, and then turn around and use the same countries as an example of what we should be doing here in America.
Using Australian-style gun control as the model to adopt here in the US.
The Australian government, as part of trying to clamp down on the availability of automatic weapons, offered a good price.
Australia, the UK, New Zealand, Norway, they've all responded to mass shootings with stricter gun laws or campaigns to confiscate or buy back guns.
But what the strict gun laws in Japan and in Britain and Australia show us is that stricter gun laws can make a difference.
Now it's 2022, and now you get to see what we in the gun community have been saying for years, live and in 4K. And I don't want to hear anyone talking about Colion Noir. That's in Canada. That's not in America. Because your boy Joe Biden just recently said this.
A 9mm bullet blows the lung out of the body. So the idea of these high caliber weapons is there is simply no rational basis for it in terms of about self-protection, hunting. And remember, the Constitution, the Second Amendment, was never absolute.
Oh, they definitely want to take the guns. But unlike us here in the US, Canada doesn't have any protection for its gun owners. What guns they are able to own is regulated exclusively by the federal government. Long story short, here in America, our government has to convince us to give up our rights. And they do this by exploiting tragedies. That's why they always have these bills that are 1,000,000 pages ready to go all of a sudden, days or moments after there's a mass tragedy. They are tragedy chasers. And in the words of Hillary Clinton,
Never waste a good crisis.
if you're pro-gun control, understand, we already have 300 federal gun laws and an estimated 20,000 on the state and local level. The politicians who push for gun control admit it won't stop all mass shootings or general gun violence, but we have to do something. So logic would dictate that if you always have to do something after a tragedy and more gun control is always that something, it's inevitable that banning guns outright will be the end solution. Canada banned AR-15s 2 years ago, and now they're trying to ban handguns. It doesn't get any more blatant than that. Gun control isn't a solution, it's a political rug pull. And if that happens, you're the only one that's gonna be hurt. And right now in America, they're talking about banning AR-15s. And then you'll hear a lot of people say, well, that's all they wanna do is ban AR-15s and that's it. That's not even true, because the Columbine shooting happened during the last assault weapons ban. And you wanna know what they wanted to do after that? Bill Clinton tried to limit the number of handguns people can own. And again, that's the point I'm pointing out. People do not know their history or refuse to remember it. They will always say more gun control in response to every tragedy. That is the only thing they can say, because doing anything else would require them to actually do some work, actually exhaust some mental faculties to actually try to solve a solution. So what they do is they try to pass off things that help deal with the symptoms. That's what gun control is. It's trying to deal with symptoms without addressing the real issue. There are a lot of people in Canada who are extremely pro-2A, at least their idea of pro-2A, considering they don't actually have a Second Amendment in Canada. But you get the point. They're really big on protecting their right to keep and bear arms. So, as a result, they also have groups that do their best to try to protect those rights and keep those rights in Canada. And so I just want to give a shout out to those guys. I'll put a link in the description section, or I'll actually put something here annotated in the video. And for my brothers who are up north fighting a good fight with respect to keeping and bearing arms, if you're looking for some Pro-2A merch, go on shop.mrcolionnoir.com and grab your Keep Canada Tactical shirt today. You know, we talk a lot about empowerment in this country, except for when it comes to the Second Amendment. However, I can't think of anything more empowering than having the most effective tool to protect you and your family. So help me spread this message by liking and sharing this video with everyone you know. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment, because the Second Amendment, when it said militia, it wasn't talking about the government. It was talking about you. Also, if you want to know where to find the I'm the Militia shirt and merchandise, click the I'm the Militia link in the description section of this video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, make sure you hit that bell symbol.